Hey, what's up? This is Sully from Godsmack. Strap on those boots, baby, because you are now in the trenches of the war room with the one and only Mistress Carrie right here on the Mistress Carrie podcast.
What's up? This is Joe Rogan, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Her hair so lovely, pretty eyes.
Hey, this is Brent from Shinedown, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie. Hey, Carrie, go put your bra on, girl.
Hey, this is Steven Tyler, and you be listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
What's up? This is Aaron from Stain, and you're listening to Mistress Carrie.
Hi, everybody. This is Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, and you're listening to the one, the only Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is David from the band Disturbed, and you're listening to the baddest bitch in Boston, Mistress Carrie.
Hi, Bruce Dickinson here from Iron Maiden. Yes, indeed, Miss Whiplash herself, Mistress Carrie, is here to unchain your brain.
Hi, this is Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. You're listening to Mistress Carrie.
This is Dennis Leary. You are listening to my favorite, Mistress Carrie.
Hey, this is Corey from Stone Sour, and you have the privilege of listening to Mistress Carrie.
Oh, God. Oh, yeah.
Hey, it's Mistress Carrie, reporting for duty from MCHQ for episode 234 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. And before we get to this week's guest, Jonny Hawkins from Nothing More, I want to let you know about the next Mistress Carrie Grunge Brunch at the City Winery Boston on December 28th. Pearl Jam tribute band 5 Against None is going to be supplying the entertainment, day drinking, charcuterie, and Pearl Jam music. December 28th at City Winery Boston. Doors open at 11. Music starts at noon. Get the details on the concert and events calendar at mistresscarrie.com. Jonny Hawkins from Nothing More returning to the show. He was on a couple years ago on episode 133 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, and now Nothing More is not only celebrating a #1 single with Angel Song featuring David Draiman from Disturbed, but they are also celebrating the 10-year anniversary of their self-titled debut album, which just got the reissue treatment. Nothing More is getting ready to go out on the Sickness 25th anniversary tour with Disturbed coming up this spring. Daughtry is also on those dates. It was so great to get Jonny back on the show almost 2 years to the date from his last appearance on episode 133. So allow me to reintroduce you to Jonny Hawkins from Nothing More. Hi, Jonny. Thanks for making the time around the holidays to hang out with me.
Absolutely. Always good to see you.
Good to see you too. Are you home?
I am. I'm actually in my new studio right now. I'm right before I jumped on the phone with you, I was installing some curtains, as you can see. It's a work in progress right now, but I'm getting all my gear put together and the coffee area back there. So
nice.
Super excited. It's been like a 1.5-year project in the works.
Well, it just goes to show that, it's not always the glamorous rock star life. Sometimes you got to hang curtains.
Sometimes you got to hang curtains and put up drywall and trim and paint and then paint again because you picked the wrong color. You know how it goes.
I know. I love being able to see the workspaces of the musicians that I talk to because you guys all have kind of different aesthetics. Like you have a really big, white, spacious, airy, lots of windows room. Then there are other people that want to feel like they're working in a cave and have it be really dark and small, and that's how they function. You have a chandelier.
Got a chandelier up here. Yeah, I'm a big fan of sunlight, even though I don't go out in it, obviously, very much. My skin tone's very fair, but I get depressed when I'm just in a dark environment for too long if it's not nighttime. And the cool thing, at least my perspective, is I can always make it dark and cavey with curtains and lighting if I wanted to. But at least it gives me the option if I have windows to be a little, cheerier, a little more sunlight and have some more energy in here.
If you're going to have a workspace, and I think so many musicians, even me having my own studio now, like you get the benefit of being able to kind of make it however you want. So like, I don't have a coffee bar in mine, but now I kind of want one because you have one.
It's not the hardest thing in the world. I think you should do it. I got like a cool old vintage kind of thrift desk, I guess. Like there's stuff everywhere right now. Got this thing for like basically $10. Put some paint on it. got the coffee machines, threw up the wallpaper. So yeah, you should do a coffee bar.
Yeah.
Go to the thrift store and put a coffee machine on it.
How do you take the coffee? This is a very serious question.
I'm a big espresso guy. So I have a coffee machine for everyone else, but I'm using the espresso machine like 90% of the time. I'm an espresso junkie.
I love the fact that you have like panthers on the wallpaper. Like this is a very serious decorating thing. You have put thought into your workspace.
Oh yeah. Lots of thought, a lot of intention. It's a year and a half into the process, so you gotta make sure I do it right. When it's done, it's gonna look even better. But yeah, I'm all about what's the word? The feng shui of a place. When you walk in and you feel a certain way. I just want this place to feel like it's where important things are made. When someone walks in the door, it feels intentional and special and curated. And I've been in some studios where I felt that and studios where I don't. So I've been trying to really kind of dial that in for myself.
Is that room for business? Is it for songwriting, or is it for recording, or everything?
Mainly songwriting and recording. I have the door's closed right now, but I have a drum room back here. So I'll have drums ready to go. And then, I'll be recording vocals back there and, mixing right here. And, the chair I'm sitting in and this chair and the couch, for a band and my members or other songwriters to just kind of collaborate and chill and, get some ideas out. But as far as like business, I mean, maybe I'll do some Zoom calls like we're doing now. I don't know.
Well, you talk about that this has been a year and a half in the making. I had to go back and look. You literally were on the show almost 2 years ago to the day. So it's got to be a holiday thing with you and I that we have to catch up around the holidays.
Wow. I guess so. And you're the first interview I've done in the studio. So even though it's not 100% done, it's like 80%. So you're the first one. You get the special in the studio Zoom.
I got to send you something little in purple to help decorate, to commemorate the first interview you did in your new space. You need a little Mistress Carrie thing in there.
Yeah, give me like a bobblehead or like a little figurine.
Yeah, we got to get you
I'm
something
down.
in there.
Absolutely. I'd love to have something.
I hope that I'm one of the first that gets to congratulate you on your new #1 single.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So we're all just over the moon right now on it, like second on the album. So we're hoping for a hat trick with the next song. Fingers crossed, but 2 down. It's very exciting.
So it's 2 off of Carnal, the latest album, but 3rd overall for the band.
I think 4th, because we had a #1 with This Is the Time. We had a #1 with Go to War. So I think it's the 4th. I think Jenny got close. Yeah. Yeah. Working on, and I got really good news today. I was actually calling our CFO at the label, kind of asking, hey, where's our gold records for Jenny? Because it's like 10 years later, we just came out with like a 10-year anniversary remastered version of the self-titled album. And we still don't have like a plaque for Jenny, which was like one of our most successful songs. And so I was asking him, I was like, hey, what's up? And he said, well, okay, good news, bad news. Basically, the bad news is that RIAA, who are the people that certify this stuff, they still haven't certified it because they're waiting on some distributor from that time period to get them the information. But he said, but the good news is we ran the numbers and we think Jenny is now platinum. So instead of a gold plaque, we'll be getting a platinum one. That's my first platinum of my entire life. So I had a little moment today emotionally.
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
I had to ask you about the 10-year reissue because when I read that record, your debut album, was 10 years old, it kind of hit me like a bullet. I was like, wait, what? That was 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's crazy, right? It does not feel like that. I mean, I feel like a ton has happened since then. Like my life has changed multiple times in that period of time. I feel like I've become almost an entirely different person in so many different ways. But yeah, it also doesn't feel like it's been that long since that album.
It's crazy that it's 10 years.
Yeah. Well, actually, so I was telling my dad this earlier. it's been 10 years since we released the album on the label.
Yeah, but you guys independently released it the year before, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it was like 2013 really when we released the album independently. So it's been even longer than that. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
And so much has changed, not just obviously for you and the band, but the industry as a whole is so much different. You guys were almost ahead of your time releasing the album independently because the industry now, there's so many independent artists that are coming up that aren't even signing with labels anymore because just the way technology has changed the industry, it's like, well, I'm not going to sign a deal. I'm just going to release it on my own. It's crazy.
Yeah. I feel like we were in the batch of a very few amount of bands at the time that really released like an album like that independently. Because that's right when labels stopped signing rock bands and we were kind of just shit out of luck. And so we did that. And then, like you said, in the last 10 years, the industry has just changed so much. I mean, we didn't really have we didn't have like what bands and artists have today with TikTok and Instagram Reels, where you can kind of just get discovered so easily. But I always look at that stuff and I'm like, would it have been better or worse? I don't know. It's always like a double-edged sword because even though it's like it is a really great tool, everyone else has the same tool and it just becomes saturated. So I don't know if it's harder or easier to break as a band now or not.
It also puts the pressure in my mind on the live show, because if you broke as a band doing it the old way, playing in clubs to 5 people, and you had to get really good. And now you can get famous on TikTok and then people could come and see you. You could be a band that's never played live and have millions of fans on TikTok. You might suck if you haven't played all of those shows to get good.
Oh yeah. I mean, like part of me wishes we didn't have to have gone through that long period of time to build a fan base so slowly. But like you said, because we got to get like 10,000 reps live and just really become a rock solid band, outside of just in the studio. And because everything's, everybody's got AI technology now and all this ways of making you sound entirely different or perfect. And they're in the real world. When you get up there, it's gonna sound a little different. So it's crazy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like rock music and then maybe country after that are the genres that once you build a fan base, they're loyal forever. Whereas like with pop and some other genres of music, you're kind of flash in the pan or whatever. But like I was looking at all of the albums that came out the day of the 10-year anniversary of your debut album, and Judas Priest's Rock-a-Rolla 50th anniversary came out. Motley Crue's 35th anniversary of Dr. Feelgood came out. U2's 20th anniversary of How to Dismantle an Atomic Bomb. So like these rock bands have this longevity of career that you earned the hard way by playing in those clubs and earning it one fan at a time.
True. Yeah, it's just like they say, the old cliche of easy come, easy go. So if you get fans easily, they'll leave as easily, when the next single you put out isn't hot or whatever. So yeah, we've definitely had the long road as a band, but that is the positive side of the long road. Is it just is a more rock solid long-term foundation with your fan base. So it is pretty cool, I think, with our genre in that way. Like you just said, I mean, the fact that bands are putting out albums that much later and people still have the feelings about them and their songs the same way, it's really cool. It's kind of an evergreen thing.
The Rolling Stones just got nominated for a Grammy for Hackney Diamonds. Dudes are in their 80s. People still love them.
Yeah, man, I have mixed feelings about, well, not the Rolling Stones specifically, but the Grammys came this year and we were all hopeful, like every band is, like, it'd be an awesome feather in the cap to get nominated again and whatever. And then we saw like the Beatles were nominated. We're like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, Do the Beatles need more accolades? Like, and how is that relevant right now? So at least Knocked Loose I saw was nominated.
With
so at
Poppy,
least somebody
yeah.
current.
Yep.
But then even if it's not us, like Falling in Reverse or Sleep Token or Bad Omens, like a band that's actually fucking doing something right now in the real world, like Grammys, what the fuck are y'all doing? Like for real, like what are you doing? Like is it just some old guy or three old guys at a table just deciding this? Like,
I don't know.
I don't get it really. The music, of course, the Beatles are legends and whatever, but it's not relevant. Like they've had their time. Move on.
Well, one of the Grammy nominations that came out in Best Metal Performance was the Gojira performance from the Olympics.
Yeah, that's great.
What
That's
did
great.
you think about that? Because I am one of those Olympic freaks that I watch every sport. I watch the ridiculous thing. I watch the opening ceremony. I love it. And when I sat on my couch and watched Gojira with decapitated heads and fire, I was like, is this really happening? Is heavy metal in the Olympics right now?
I honestly felt the same way when I heard about that and I saw a clip. I was like, fuck yeah. Like, this is awesome. Like, that was a really cool moment. And the fact that they're up for a Grammy nomination, I'm very, very happy for them because they're a killer band. And one of those bands that I think deserves it. At least they're making a few good choices there. I can't rag on them too hard. They did Gojira, like you said, and Knock Loose. But man, there's so many other bands that are relevant right now as well in the other super legacy artists that aren't even active or doing anything. Like when we got nominated for Grammys back in was it 2016 or 17 or something on the Stories We Tell Ourselves, we got beat. One of the ones we got beat by Leonard Cohen, and he isn't even alive. We got beat by a dead guy. It's amazing. Anyway, sorry, that's enough of me bitching about that.
No, it's all good. Like, if you're going to lose an award, like it's kind of hilarious that you lost to a dead guy. Like,
yeah.
At least you're not Metallica losing to Jethro Tull. Like,
yeah.
Talking about the 10th anniversary of the debut, it's been a lot of like crazy anniversaries and kind of looking back because there are a lot of 25th anniversaries getting celebrated in 2025. Living in a world where Linkin Park, Papa Roach, and Disturbed are all getting ready to celebrate their 25th anniversaries next year. Having been on the radio towards the end of the 90s and hearing a lot of the critics talk about the quote unquote new metal era and how that music wasn't going to last and that it wasn't going to stand the test of time. And now this time next year, Papa Roach, Linkin Park, and Disturbed will all be eligible for induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and be technically considered classic rock is kind of like a mind-blowing thing for me.
Yeah, same. That's pretty awesome, though. I think it's had like a resurgence lately, too. I've heard a lot of younger bands kind of riffing off of the new metal era. And I don't know, it's exciting to see because I think we have some of those influences as well because we grew up in that era. And those were the bands that everyone at my middle school and high school were wearing those T-shirts. It was a huge thing at the time. And so it's cool to see it coming back again.
I just talked to Jerry Horton from Papa Roach recently, and we were talking about how like the original Papa Roach fans are now bringing their kids to the shows. And you're looking at like generations of fans now. Like people that have all grown up with this music. That's got to be such a trip when you get to that point.
Yeah. We've obviously I think with Papa Roach it's probably another level because they're we grew up listening to them, so I'm sure they've even seen the generational thing. But even us, it's started to make me feel old, honestly. Like at our last few meet and greets, I've met some people and they're in their mid to late 20s. And they're like, you were my favorite band growing up. I'm like, how old are you? and they're like, I listened to you when I was 12. I'm like, oh my God. Like it definitely makes you feel old, but it's pretty cool though to see the families coming together and stuff.
Well, I bring it up because you guys are going to be touring with Disturbed on their big Sickness 25th anniversary tour next year. And obviously, the new #1 single features David Draiman from Disturbed. This is big stuff.
I don't know. It's pretty surreal. I mean, a lot of things in my life lately have just felt like a full circle kind of season of my life, where even just going on tour with Disturbed for their big 25th anniversary for the Sickness is I don't know. It's just surreal because I listened to them when I was in middle school and they blew my mind, and so it's just wild. I don't know.
I talked to David Draiman when he got Ann Wilson on the Disturbed record. And he told me the whole story about how he slid into her DMs on Twitter to get her on the record. Did you slide into Draiman's DMs to get him on your record? How did that happen?
I kind of did. I sent him some nip pics and some seductive photos. And no, I'm just kidding. Soon after that tour, when we got home from Europe, I just started chatting with David about different things. And then it just kind of led to a conversation about Angel Song eventually. And he said yes, which we weren't sure if that was ever going to happen or if you'd have the time. But yeah, pretty crazy.
He's now had 2 #1 songs this year that weren't Disturbed songs, because Nita, he got a #1 song with Nita Strauss, and now with Nothing More. So
he's on a roll lately. That's crazy.
The idea of having features is something that pop music and hip hop music has been doing for a really long time. But it feels like rock music was kind of late to the party in some ways. And now it feels like everybody's kind of guesting on each other's songs, and it's just way more common.
Yeah, I think the rock genre is a little more, or historically has been a little more egotistical, in a way that was very like, no, this is my sound, this is my art, this is kind of this very protected thing. And so artists, unless they toured together or had some kind of camaraderie, there would always just be a little resistance to doing that kind of stuff. And then I think hip hop just flourished for like a decade or two because they were just doing that constantly. They were featuring on each other's stuff, and it just strategically, it made a lot of sense. It was just kind of a win-win, and everybody's getting their name out there and whatever. But I feel like our genre was just more resistant to it for a long time. And I don't know, it seems like in the last 5, I don't know, maybe 10 years, it's gotten way more common. But I think it's just been, at some point, everyone just kind of realized that it just made a lot of sense to do it with how streaming works. It's just a win-win, and it just gets everybody's name more exposed, and it exposes each other to each other's fan base and hits the algorithm stronger, all these things. And so I think everybody's just kind of realized what it is.
When you were on the show last a couple years ago, we spent a lot of time talking about the idea of releasing singles versus full albums because technology and streaming has changed so much. I don't think anybody would have believed the power of vinyl. Even since the last time you and I talked, that vinyl is like a whole new thing. Jack White's probably the only one that predicted that this was actually going to happen, and he was smart enough to buy his own factory.
Oh, wow. Wow, good for him. Yeah, I would agree with that. I don't think anybody really saw that coming except someone like a Jack White, who's real connected to that vintagey, vibey, artsy side of the industry. I think they'd probably be the first one to see that trend picking up, because for a while it's just only hipsters or a select group of people who were just really into collectibles and things would have bought that. But now it's kind of crazy to see it come back, because it's like, obviously we're not listening on vinyl all the time, but it's like the working man or middle class way to put art on your walls or in your home, because a vinyl is like a piece of art. So I think it's kind of cool because that's what I always felt was missing from when everything went to streaming. It just became so, I don't know, the experience was different, and it was just, like you said, so single oriented. So vinyl's, I don't know, found been a cool way for that to kind of come back. And like, we just came out with 10-year anniversary remastered vinyl. The artwork, just seeing it all updated, and it's cool, like pulling it out of the packaging and going, oh, wow, it just looks so nice, and all the credits and, the lyrics and everything in there. I don't know. I missed that. So I love, like that's come back.
And you guys did like limited edition, like colored variants and stuff too, which I love. The colored vinyl stuff I love, especially when bands decide to do them in purple for obvious reasons.
Yeah. No, same. I'm a big fan of all that. So we've done a lot of different variations with partnering with different groups that want to do like giveaways, or, they want their own specific line. So we've done a lot of variations over the years with vinyl colors.
Did you put a vinyl area in this newfangled studio room with the chandelier that you're sitting in right now? Do you have your vinyl collection in there?
No, I have it in my home. So this is a unit behind my house. My house is probably like, I don't know, 30 feet from here. But I have a vinyl player in there in my living room with a vinyl collection.
What's the album that you think you've purchased the most copies of? Because you scratched the vinyl, you ran through the cassette so many times that it got eaten. Like, what album did you listen to so many times that you had to replace it multiple times?
Well, that's a good question. I think the only time I replaced an album was back when I was a kid. Because like in middle school, that's when the whole Napster thing started taking off and streaming. So man, that's a tough question. I'm trying to think back. Maybe there was a Collective Soul album I had when I was a kid. It was like a blue album. It had December on it and The World I Know and some other tracks. But I used to love that album as a kid, and I think I bought that one more than once.
I think that album turned 30 this year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, 1994 was an epic year for music. When you go and look at all the albums turning 30 this year, you really get an appreciation for like how spoiled we were in 94 and how many unbelievable albums came out that year.
Yeah. I mean, I was fortunate to kind of be getting my introduction to music in that era. I mean, I think I look back and I just missed kind of it's like hair metal and power metal, all that stuff from that era. Like, it's like Nirvana came out and then the party was over.
Oh, yeah.
It was like, if you did, it's just shifted immediately is what it felt like. And so I kind of came into music, when I started playing drums and learning songs and stuff, like when Soundgarden was blowing up and Smashing Pumpkins and Nirvana and stuff like that. So I don't know. It was an interesting time for music. It was kind of a melancholy time, though. It's like everything got real depressing. And it's like if you did anything positive, it was like you weren't cool.
Yeah.
Or something. And whereas the music, the era before was like just about having a good time and partying. And so I kind of like both. I have a heart on both sides of the fence of that, but I think it's very interesting.
I got sucked into watching a ton of documentaries like through COVID and stuff, and some great documentaries have come out recently, including one called Nothing But a Good Time. It's a docuseries about the rise, the heights, and the fall of hair metal on the Sunset Strip.
Oh, wow.
And you should check that out because it's exactly what you're talking about. It's about the soundtrack to all of these crazy parties, and then everybody woke up one day and Nirvana just killed their careers overnight.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to have to check it out. What's it called again?
It's called Nothing But a Good Time. I think it's on Netflix. It's really, really good.
Okay. I'm going to check that out.
It's 3 episodes. The rise of the bands, where they came from, like Motley Crue and Rat and Poison and all that, and then how crazy it was at its height. And then the 3rd episode of the docuseries is the downfall. And it's really interesting.
Okay. Hell yeah. I'm going to check that out. I've been needing a good documentary. Thank you.
Yeah. So when I talked to you a couple years ago, you guys were getting ready to go on Shipwrecked, and we talked all about whether or not it was a good idea to put rock fans on a boat. It obviously was a good idea for you guys because you're doing it again in January.
I don't know if it's a good idea, but it's a fun idea. I'll say that. Yeah, we're doing it again. My liver is going to be so mad at me for doing this again, but I'm going to have a blast. It was a blast last time. It seems to just get better every time, so we're pumped to be there.
Are you a like fruity, like Caribbean drink fan? Like what's the cocktail du jour on Shipwrecked?
When I'm on the beach, I'm definitely a fan of the kind of the fruitier drinks and stuff. Like I love a good Miami Vice. But I can only have like one. If I have a sugary drink, I can't just keep drinking them. So usually tequila is my poison of my choice of poison.
You and Mark LaBelle from Dirty Honey have that same tequila issue. Yes. We had the conversation because I don't know if it's like that for you, but for me, like different things that I drink react differently. And when I drink tequila, I want to cause trouble.
You know, that's what I hear from a lot of people. I don't know. I'm just very smiley and happy and laid back when I drink tequila. I don't know why. But whiskey is more the one where I want to fight or it puts fire in my belly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It reacts like that to some people. It's really interesting, like the chemistry that happens when you introduce this foreign substance and your alter ego comes out.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Well, anybody that's ever seen Nothing More live, you and Iggy Pop are probably famous for not wearing shirts ever. I asked Alice Cooper once if he ever saw his good friend Iggy Pop wearing a shirt, and he was like, no. You have a shirt on right now, thank you. But normally when Nothing More is on stage, you don't. Yeah. I bring it up because you're a super physically active guy. I asked Chris Daughtry these same kind of questions because you guys make the time in the touring schedule to really focus on fitness. But we are in the week where it takes 10 hours on a treadmill to burn off Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah, you can't outrun the spoon when it comes to Thanksgiving. Fortunately this year I should say fortunately and unfortunately, I'm just staying home this year for Thanksgiving. I'm going to go back home, or at least, San Antonio where I grew up. I'm going to go there for Christmas, but I've just been touring so much and so busy that I'm taking Thanksgiving off this year. And so I don't think I'll overeat too bad, but Christmas is right around the corner and I'm sure I'm going to be pounding some Christmas cookies.
What's the Thanksgiving thing that you have to have, the guilty pleasure? That it's not Thanksgiving dinner without it?
I would say I always like the cranberry sauce, like almost like the Jello, not Jello, but you know what I mean?
In the can.
Form of it. In the can. I like maybe I'm just white trash or something, but I like the can version mixed with the turkey. And then, I don't know, I gotta have mashed potatoes. I love mashed potatoes.
They grow most of those cranberries in Massachusetts. And people here live near the bogs, and people here eat the cranberry sauce out of the can. It is not white trash.
Okay.
It's
a preference.
We've tried with my family to make the fancy cranberry sauce, and everybody's like, where's the can?
I like the canned stuff.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
You brought up Christmas cookies. It's funny that I mentioned Chris Daughtry because that's his cheat thing too. What Christmas cookies specifically are we talking about when you go home that you're looking for?
Oh, I mean, I'm a sucker for just a good soft sugar cookie. Those are pretty good with good icing on it. But also, I mean, I don't know if chocolate chip cookies are necessarily Christmas cookies, but I'll eat them if they're out.
Well, there's that. There are just certain smells and certain flavors that tell you it's like the holiday season, like things you only get at that time of year.
Yeah, well, one little guilty pleasure for me is mixing Rumple Mints, like the minty liqueur. Mix that with hot chocolate. That's a jam. You got to try that.
It's like a Andy's candy.
Yeah.
Or
It's
a
very, very good. That's
or a
my
Girl Scout
Christmas
cookie, a
special.
Thin Mint. Delicious.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the best Christmas gift you got as a kid that you still remember? Like greatest Christmas gift ever?
Greatest Christmas gift. Oh, I mean, the one that sticks out in my mind was a Nintendo 64. I freaked out when I was a kid. I'd been begging for that thing forever. Um, that's the one that stands out.
That thing's
I
probably
think.
worth a lot of money if you still had the OG one too.
If I did, I don't know what happened to that thing. Yeah, probably.
And I have a strict rule about holiday music because you're not allowed to put your Christmas in my Halloween. There has to be a separation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is serious stuff.
Yeah.
So when
Yeah.
it comes to Christmas music, which I allow after Thanksgiving only,
Oh, okay. You're strict with that.
yeah, I can't be listening to Christmas music like the first week of November. Like it's just too early.
Yeah, I agree. I start Christmas music whenever we start decorating. And this last, I think it was this weekend, my girlfriend started decorating Christmas stuff, and so I put on some Christmas music. So technically I broke your rule. It was
But not by much.
right before Thanksgiving,
Yeah, you're
but yeah, I
okay.
agree. It shouldn't be the first part of November. You gotta let Halloween, rest in peace a little bit for a second.
Are you a traditional Christmas music person? What's your favorite Christmas song?
I think what's the song? What is it? It's like an epic one. What is it? Da 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 da. Not Carol the Bells. That's Carol the Bells, right?
Yeah.
Um, maybe it's Oh Holy Night. It has like a real epic chorus to it.
But you're a
I think that
traditional
one-
guy. You like the old, like the classics.
Yeah, but I like the classics too that are just in like a lot of movies, like classic movies, like Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell, Jingle Bell Rock. Da 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 da. That I like those, like I like the 60s era Christmas stuff. The real Pleasantville, like everything's perfect kind of American culture stuff. I like that stuff.
Yeah, when they were just making everything look great and the underbelly of it was everything was shit and falling apart. But happy Christmas songs.
But Christmas was, yeah. I just like that era of Christmas. Yeah, 1960s, 50s.
Have you guys ever tackled a Christmas song?
We did many, many years ago. And I think it was Oh Holy Night. If it's, I'm still thinking there's a different one, but I can't remember it. But yeah, we did it one time. It was ridiculous. We probably should have not done it. It was very strange for us to do.
The idea of looking back and seeing 10 years since the release of the debut album and the reissue and everything that's gone on, you've gone through a lot with the band, outside of the band personally. Talk to me about what it has meant for you over this decade to have those guys with you. That where the band is now and just a decade later, what it means for Nothing More to still be that brotherhood and to have those guys kind of ride or die going through everything with you.
Man, it's had its ups and downs. Fortunately, Mark and Dan are generally pretty easygoing people. Like they're pretty easy to get along with. But we've definitely had our frustrations and disagreements and near breakup points. It's just going to be part of it because you're going to reach these stressful seasons and periods of time where being in a band together was not easy and not very fun. But yeah, it's pretty crazy that we've gotten through it as long as we have. And I think a big part of that is just when you know each other for so long, like since you were kids, that helps a lot. I think when you meet people when you're an adult, you're just so fully formed and you're just kind of set in your ways. And so when you're friends with someone since you were young, you've been through so much that it kind of supersedes and puts into context and perspective, like your disagreements and problems. It kind of makes it seem smaller in such a large span of time. So yeah, it's been pretty incredible to have that consistency over that many years. I mean, we've had a few different drummers when I stopped drumming, of course, but Ben has been, he really feels like the realest member of the band, and I guess it's coming on close to 10 years now with him.
Well, that's why I
8 years
asked,
now.
because like when you're meeting band members so young, there's so many bands that I talk to. They're like, oh yeah, like Jerry Horton from Papa Roach was just talking about how like they wrote the music for Last Resort when they were 16. I didn't make any decisions when I was 16 that were still good now. And when it comes to bands, so many bands met young and have been able to, through everything, keep it together. And that's what I mean. That's why I asked you the question, is that you know that it's real because you were so young and you've literally like been through it all together.
The older I get, the more crazy it seems to me that it unfolded the way it did, because at the time it didn't feel crazy. It just felt like I just knew what I wanted to do at such a young age. Like at 7 years old, I went to a rock show with my dad, and it's like I just kind of knew. I just saw the drummer and I got this chill and this feeling of experiencing it live, that from that point forward, there was just kind of this mission in my mind that just grew and developed. And I was like always looking for band members, and I was vetting people like for years, like through middle school and through high school. I had so many band members, that a lot of them were just friends or became friends, but a lot of them just came and went because I didn't view them as serious about it. Like they just wanted to have a good time, which is cool. But I was like, I'm looking for like real long-term members who want to be like in one of the biggest rock bands in the world. That's how I was thinking at that age. So the older I get, the more I'm like, oh, that's unusual that I was thinking that way at that age. But yeah, it's funny. It's funny looking back. It was just too very serious.
What show was it that your dad took you to?
The first one that I remember was this band called Petra. It was like a Christian, I don't know. It was like a rock band, but in like the early 90s. And it was Petra and a band called Whiteheart and a band called Grandma Train and Johnny Q Public. I think it was like 4 bands all together. But yeah, real obscure bands. I think they were all Christian bands, or at least 3 of them were. So
to me, if you're going to be a parent and you have a kid that wants to play an instrument, the 3 that you don't want them to play are the bagpipes, the violin, and the drums.
Yeah. You're signing up for suffering.
Yeah.
As a parent. And so, yeah, I mean, props to my parents for sticking that through and actually letting me get a drum set. I mean, they didn't buy me one though for about a year. I begged for close to a year, and then I just started breaking my mom's pots and pans in the kitchen because I would just start building drum sets. So I was like, well, if you're not going to get me one, I'm just going to make one. And so I think at that point they're like, all right, we really need to try and support him. He's serious about this. It wasn't just like ooh, I want to do this kind of passing thought. And so the fact that they got me one though, I just, God, it must have been so annoying to hear me practicing that thing.
What was the first song on that drum set that you mastered and were like, oh my God, I think I'm good at this thing?
The song called 1979 by Smashing Pumpkins. That was my first one. Yeah. It's just like a very consistent beat, It was like some kind of beat that just repeated, and my leg would always get tired by the end of the song, but I always felt like really cool playing it.
I've been told it feels like hitting the perfect golf ball, that like once you do it right, then you're like, okay, now I'm hungry to like try harder songs, and like it gets its hooks into you then.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think that's a big like takeaway for anyone who wants to learn an instrument, or any kid out there, is that you got to have that little win or that little success to experience what that feels like. Otherwise, if you just have if you have a bad teacher or just not the right guidance, you could just get stuck doing things you're bad at for too long, and it discourages you, and then you just don't follow through with it. And I've seen that happen with kids, and it's really sad. So it's like, yeah, when you get that easy win and you get a really learnable song that's simple, because I taught drum lessons in high school to kids, and paid for my gas and different stuff. And that was my goal, was just making sure the kids could learn something easy first, so they got that excitement feeling, and that would fuel them through the next hard thing that they had to learn.
Well, 2025 is going to be a very busy year for Nothing More. I'm bummed that the leg of the Disturbed tour you're going to be on is not coming through the Northeast, because you guys spent a lot of time up here this summer on the road with Godsmack. So the Disturbed tour is not.
Yeah.
We don't get you guys when Disturbed comes through.
Oh.
So I'm bummed I won't see you then.
Sorry about that.
Well, I'm not asking for an apology, Johnny.
My bad. No, I'm just kidding. No, we wanted to be on. They have a whole other leg of that tour that we were hoping we'd get on as well, but I think they're taking out Seven Dust and 3 Days Grace or something.
Yeah, that's the lineup that we're getting in Boston. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I think we'll probably do a headline tour after Disturbed at some point in 2025, and we'll probably head up there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because the tour dates that you have out right now are just through the first half of the year. So that's why I was wondering if you guys are already talking about the second half of 2025. How much time are you actually going to get to spend in that new awesome studio you just built? Or are you just going to be gone the whole time?
Oh, God. Good question. I mean, it's looking like it's going to be pretty busy for 2025. So I'm going to be wanting to come home a lot, because like you said, I'm just going to be finishing the studio. And now I'm not going to want to leave it.
Well, the curtains look beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The curtains. Yeah. It's on my tools. I just put them up right before I talked to you.
Well, it was so good to see you. I'm glad we got to catch up before the holidays. Congratulations on another #1 single.
Thank you so much. Always good to talk with you, and good to see you. And definitely send me a little purple trinket or something.
Yeah, I got to send you
either
something
next time I see you, or I can send you my address.
Hell yeah. Yeah. We have officially Chris in the studio now.
Exactly. Give it a little blessing from Mistress Carrie.
Well, happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. And we will see you in 2025 out on the road with Disturbed.
Sounds
if you
good.
survive Shipwrecked.
Yeah. After I recover from Shipwrecked, it's going to be a great year.
There he is, Jonny Hawkins from Nothing More. The 10-year reissue of their self-titled debut album is available everywhere, including on colored vinyl. And their new #1 single, Angels Song, featuring David Draiman from Disturbed, you can check that out in this episode's corresponding playlist. I make a playlist for every full-length episode of the Mistress Carrie podcast that features all of my guest music and all the artists and songs that we referenced in the interview. If you liked what you heard, don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast. New full-length episodes come out every Wednesday. Plus, every weekday, you get the Sit Rep. The Situation Report runs down all your rock news, music headlines, and entertainment updates in about 5 minutes. And you never know when we're going to release a bonus episode. Join me live every Tuesday night at 8:30 Eastern for my weekly streaming video show, Cocktails in the War Room. And of course, you can always join me on the radio. Tickets are available right now for the Mistress Carrie Grunge Brunch, December 28th at City Winery, Boston, with 5 Against None, the Pearl Jam tribute. Get the details on all of that and more at mistresscarrie.com. The Mistress Carrie Podcast, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network.